Be me, 29, feminist writer and social justice advocate in Portland. Been with boyfriend for 3 years, living together for 1 year. He's 31, works in IT, quiet guy who keeps to himself mostly. Met at coffee shop, he was reading sci-fi novel I recognized. Our relationship was comfortable, easy, low drama. We'd spend weekends hiking, cooking together, watching movies. Never had major fights, just regular couple disagreements. Things started changing after I joined new feminist book club. Reading texts about patriarchy, toxic masculinity, male socialization. Started seeing behaviors in him I never noticed before. The way he'd explain things without asking if I already knew. How he'd suggest solutions instead of just listening. His preference for logic over emotional expression. All signs of problematic male conditioning. Brought up concerns during dinner one night. I've been noticing some patterns in how you communicate. Patterns that reflect toxic masculine socialization. He looked up from his pasta, confused. What do you mean? Like how you always try to fix problems instead of just hearing me. Or how you dismiss emotional responses as overreacting. He put down his fork. I don't think I dismiss your emotions. I'm just trying to help when you're upset. Shook my head. This was exactly the problem. That's mansplaining, assuming I need your solutions. Instead of creating space for my feelings. He went quiet, clearly didn't know how to respond. Started pointing out more issues over next few weeks. How he dominated conversations with his interests. How he didn't cry or show vulnerability enough. How his video games reflected violent masculine fantasies. How he needed to read more feminist literature. Each conversation he'd try to understand, ask questions. But I could tell he wasn't really getting it. My book club friends encouraged me to push harder. Men need to unlearn their socialization. It's not your job to educate him, but someone has to. If he really loves you, he'll do the work. Felt validated hearing them agree with my concerns. Started creating list of things he needed to work on. Sat him down with actual written list. I've documented behaviors that need addressing. His eyes widened as he read through it. Items included. Stop mansplaining and talking over me. Express emotions more openly, especially crying. Read assigned feminist books monthly. Examine privilege in daily interactions. Stop playing violent video games. Attend men's accountability group. He stared at the paper for a long time. This feels like a lot. These are fundamental changes to who I am. Cross my arms. These aren't changes, they're growth. Unpacking toxic masculinity is necessary work. I'm asking you to be better. He folded the paper slowly. Can I think about this? Of course, but I need to see commitment. I can't be with someone who won't examine their conditioning. He nodded, went quiet for rest of evening. Thought maybe message was finally getting through. Week later, he still hadn't started any items on list. Brought it up again, frustrated by lack of action. You haven't even touched the first book I recommended. He sighed heavily. I've been really busy with work project. This is exactly the problem, I said. You prioritize everything over growth and accountability. He rubbed his face. Maybe I'm just not understanding what you need. Maybe I need help figuring this out. Saw an opening here. That's actually really mature of you to recognize. Have you considered therapy? His expression shifted, uncertain. Therapy for what specifically? To work on your masculine conditioning. Unpack the socialization that's affecting our relationship. A professional could help you see these patterns. He was quiet for a moment. You think I need therapy to fix myself? Chose words carefully. Not fix, grow. We all have work to do. Yours is around masculinity. Therapy could help you understand why you resist emotional labor. He looked at me with expression I couldn't read. If you think it would help us, I'll try it. Felt relieved. Finally, he was taking this seriously. Spent next few days researching therapists. Found one who specialized in men's issues and toxic masculinity. Profile said she worked with men on emotional availability and deconstructing harmful masculine patterns. Perfect fit for what he needed. Booked him appointment for following week. Day of first session, he seemed nervous. What am I supposed to talk about? Just be honest about your patterns. The therapist will guide you. He left looking uncertain. Felt proud of myself for getting him help. Came back 2 hours later. He was quiet, thoughtful. How did it go? I asked eagerly. It was interesting. What did you talk about? He shook his head. She said therapy is confidential. But it gave me a lot to think about. Was hoping for more details, but respected boundaries. Are you going back? Yeah, Scheduled another session. Felt hopeful. Therapy was already making him more communicative. Maybe this would actually fix things. Week between sessions, I noticed him being more withdrawn. Not distant exactly, just contemplative. Writing in journal he'd never kept before. Taking long walks alone. When I'd ask what he was thinking about, he'd just say processing some things. Second session came the following week. He was gone even longer this time, almost 3 hours. Came back with completely different energy. Not upset or angry, but resolved somehow. Sat down across from me at kitchen table. We need to talk. Those 4 words made my stomach drop. About what? He took deep breath. I'm ending our relationship. Felt like I'd been slapped. What? Why? Is this because of therapy? He nodded slowly. Therapy helped me see things clearly. Things I've been ignoring or making excuses for. Tried to stay calm. What things? The therapist was supposed to help you grow. He gave sad smile. She did help me grow, just not the way you expected. He pulled out his journal, opened to marked page. In our first session, therapist asked me to describe our relationship. I told her about your concerns about my masculinity, about the list of things I needed to fix, about how I needed to unpack my conditioning. He paused, looking directly at me. Then she asked me something no one's asked in 3 years. She asked, "How do you feel in this relationship?" My throat tightened, and I realized I couldn't answer. Because I've spent 3 years trying to be what you need, while completely losing track of who I am. Tried to interrupt, but he continued. She asked if I liked video games before you called them violent fantasies. I said yes, they help me relax after work. She asked if I naturally try to solve problems because it's how I show care. I said yes, fixing things is how I express love. She asked if I felt accepted for who I am. His voice cracked slightly, and I couldn't say yes. Tears started forming in my eyes. But I was trying to help you be better. Better according to whose definition? The question hung in the air. Second session, we dug deeper. He continued. She asked me to list things that make me me. Not what I should be, but what I actually am. I'm someone who thinks logically before emotionally. I show love through actions more than words. I need alone time to recharge. I like sci-fi and video games and terrible puns. He closed the journal. None of those things are toxic. They're just not what you want me to be. Found my voice. So your therapist told you to break up with me? He shook his head. No, she asked me questions. What does healthy love feel like? Should you feel like you're constantly failing your partner? Is it love if you're always being fixed? And I realized the answer to all of them. He stood up slowly. I deserve someone who likes me as I am, not someone with a project to improve. Desperation took over. But you agreed to therapy. You said you'd do the work. His expression was gentle but firm. I went to therapy to save us. Therapy showed me there was no us to save. Just you trying to reshape me into someone else. Anger flared up. This is exactly male fragility. You're running away instead of growing. You're choosing comfort over evolution. He picked up keys from counter. I'm choosing myself over constantly being told I'm not enough. He headed toward door. I'll get my things this weekend when you're at work. Stood there frozen. You're really leaving over 2 therapy sessions? He turned back one last time. I'm leaving because 2 therapy sessions helped me see what I should have seen 3 years ago. You don't love me. You love who you think I should become. And I can't spend my life apologizing for being myself. Then he left. Just walked out while I stood in kitchen, completely blindsided by what just happened. Called my book club friend immediately. She answered on second ring. He broke up with me. Her gasp was sharp. What? What? Therapy, I said, voice breaking. The therapy I sent him to. He went for 2 sessions and ended it. She was quiet for a moment. That doesn't make sense. The therapist was supposed to help him see his patterns. Apparently, she helped him see MY patterns instead. Explained everything he said. About feeling like a project. About losing himself. About deserving someone who accepts him. She was supportive, but I could hear doubt. Maybe he had a point? What? Felt betrayed. I mean, that list was pretty extensive. And you were documenting his behaviors. That's not really partnership. Hung up feeling even more confused. Was I actually the problem? No, couldn't be. He just wasn't ready to do the work. Male fragility, 1 overgrowth. Posted about it on Feminist forum that night. Partner refused to unpack toxic masculinity, ended relationship. Expected solidarity and support. Some comments were validating. Men always run when confronted with their privilege. He chose patriarchy over growth. But other comments surprised me. Did he actually display toxic behaviors or just male traits? There's difference between abuse and just being male. Sending partner to therapy to change them is controlling. Maybe you weren't compatible, not that he was toxic. These comments made me angry. Started arguing in threads, defending my concerns as legitimate. But doubt kept creeping in. Week later, he came for his things while I was supposedly at work. But I called in sick, wanted to see him. Watched from bedroom as he packed his stuff. Moving efficiently, no hesitation. He looked lighter somehow. Less burdened than I'd seen him in months. He noticed me watching from doorway. Hey, thought you'd be at work. Wanted to see you, I admitted. He nodded, continued packing. Can I ask you something? He paused. Was I really that bad? He sat on edge of couch. You weren't bad, but you made me feel like I was. Every day I woke up feeling inadequate, like my natural way of being was wrong. Tears started falling. I just wanted you to be better. Better for you, not better for me. The distinction hurt. What did the therapist actually say? I asked. He considered whether to answer. She said something that stuck with me. She said, love accepts, control changes. And I had to ask myself what we had. My chest ached. But growth requires change. He shook his head. Growth comes from within. You can't force someone to grow in directions they don't want. That's just manipulation disguised as care. Wanted to argue, but words wouldn't come. He finished packing in silence. Before leaving, he stopped. I hope you find someone who wants to be your project. Because I deserve to be someone's person. Then he was gone. Sat alone in an apartment that felt too empty. Started thinking about everything he said. About therapy questions. How do I feel in this relationship? Did I even know how he felt? Had I ever just asked without trying to fix? Called the therapist's office few days later. Managed to book appointment. Sat in same chair he probably sat in. Therapist was kind, patient. Asked me to describe the relationship. Told her everything. The list, the concerns, the patterns I noticed. She listened without judgment. Then asked simple question. Did you like him? Confusion washed over me. Of course I loved him. I asked if you liked him. The distinction paralyzed me. Did you enjoy his company as he was? Or did you enjoy the project of improving him? Couldn't answer immediately. Realized I'd spent 3 years seeing problems. Not seeing person. She leaned forward gently. Sometimes we confuse love with control. We think if we can just fix someone, they'll become perfect for us. But that's not love. That's renovation. He wasn't a house with problems. He was a person who needed acceptance. Started crying in therapist's office. Understanding what I'd done. She continued softly. The work you wanted him to do. Was it work he wanted for himself? Or work you decided he needed? Had to admit it was the latter. That's the difference between growth and control. Growth is internal desire to evolve. Control is external pressure to conform. Everything she said made horrible sense. Left that session destroyed. Understood why he left. Why 2 sessions showed him the truth. I hadn't loved him. I'd loved the idea of fixing him. Spent next few weeks in deep reflection. Reading different books, not just feminist theory, but books about actual healthy relationships. About acceptance, about unconditional positive regard, about letting people be themselves. Realized my book club had become echo chamber. Everyone validating each other's control. Disguising it as holding men accountable. But accountability for what? For being themselves? Saw his social media months later. He looked genuinely happy. Posting about video game tournaments. Hiking with friends. Living his life unapologetically. No longer trying to be someone he wasn't. Felt mix of emotions. Happy he found peace. Sad I couldn't be part of it. Ashamed I drove him away. By trying to make him something else. Started my own real therapy journey. Working on why I felt need to control. Why I couldn't accept someone as they were. Why I masked control as care. Therapist helped me see patterns. Came from place of insecurity. If I could make him perfect, he wouldn't leave me. But trying to change him. Guaranteed he would leave. Year later ran into him at bookstore. He was in sci-fi section, of course. Looked healthy, confident. With woman browsing next to him. She laughed at something he said. Genuine, easy laughter. He saw me, gave small wave. Wasn't angry or bitter. Just distant in way strangers are. I nodded back. Didn't approach. Just watched him be himself. with someone who clearly liked him that way. Left bookstore with heavy heart, but also with understanding. I'd send him to therapy to fix him. Therapy fixed the relationship instead, by ending it, giving him freedom to be himself, and showing me that love isn't about change. The irony wasn't lost on me. 2 therapy sessions saved him. From me. From my need to control. From my inability to accept. Final session with my therapist. She asked what I learned. That I confused care with control. That trying to change someone isn't love. That he deserved better than I gave him. She smiled gently. And what do you deserve? Thought about it carefully. I deserve to work on myself, instead of working on someone else. To accept people or let them go. Not try to reshape them. Left therapy understanding. He was right to leave. 2 sessions showed him truth. That he was enough as he was. Just not for me. Because I couldn't see it. The relationship ended. Not because he wouldn't do the work, but because I made him feel like being himself was the problem, when really, my inability to accept him was the actual issue all along. Sometimes therapy fixes the person. Sometimes it fixes the situation by showing them they need to leave. That's what happened with us. 2 sessions of clarity versus 3 years of trying to change. He chose clarity, and I don't blame him anymore. Months pass, seasons change, and I start to feel something I haven't felt in years. Peace. No one to critique, no one to fix. Just me and the quiet. And for the first time, the quiet doesn't feel like punishment. Started journaling, not about others, but about myself. About the need to control, the fear beneath it. About how much energy I spent proving my ideology instead of feeling love. Realized most of my activism wasn't about equality. It was about fear. Fear of being powerless, invisible, dependent. Fear of being hurt like my mother was. So I built armor out of theory and rhetoric. But armor doesn't let love in either. Therapy became my mirror. Each session peeling off another layer of defensiveness. One day therapist asked, "When was the last time you felt safe being feminine?" Had no answer. Couldn't even define what feminine meant anymore. Years of framing softness as weakness left me numb to my own tenderness. Started noticing little moments that used to annoy me. Men holding doors open. People offering help. Instead of seeing oppression, I started seeing kindness. And how sad it was that I once rejected it out of principle. Learned that equality doesn't mean sameness. It means respect for differences. And respect requires acceptance, not correction. Stopped attending the book club. Their conversations felt heavy, repetitive. Same outrage, same recycled anger. And I was just tired. Tired of fighting shadows that looked like people. Started volunteering at youth center. Helping young women build confidence without tearing anyone down. Felt more empowering than any protest ever did. Sometimes I still think about him. The way he listened even when I was cruel. The way he tried, quietly, earnestly, until trying wasn't enough. He wasn't the villain I painted him to be. He was a mirror I didn't want to look into. Because he reflected everything I refused to accept. Acceptance. That word used to sound like surrender. Now it feels like freedom. Freedom to let others exist without demanding they become extensions of me. Years later, ran into one of my old book club friends at cafe. She asked, "Still dating men brave enough to be fixed?" I laughed softly. "No, just people brave enough to be themselves." She rolled her eyes, said I'd gone soft. Maybe she's right. Maybe softness is exactly what I needed. Because harshness never healed me. It just made me feel righteous and alone. Met someone new eventually. Not a grand love story, just something gentle. He listens, but not to appease me. He speaks, but not to dominate. We disagree sometimes. But no one tries to rewrite the other. It's quiet. And that quiet feels like home. Sometimes he plays video games. And instead of lecturing, I sit beside him. Ask what he's playing. He explains the story, the mechanics. I listen, not to correct, but to understand. And I realize, this is what I wanted all along. Connection, not control. Love, not lessons. One night, he asked if I believed in soulmates. I said no, but I believe in timing. He smiled and said, "Then maybe I met you at the right time, when you stopped trying to fix people." It hit deeper than he knew. Because maybe all love really asks for is room to be imperfect, to be human. Sometimes I still dream about my ex. In those dreams, he's just walking away. No anger, no sadness, just peace. I wake up and smile. Because I finally understand. Letting go wasn't losing. It was freeing both of us to grow separately. He found himself. I found humility. 2 therapy sessions gave him clarity. And a lifetime of reflection gave me understanding. Now when I write, I don't write manifestos. I write stories. About people. About learning to love without conquering. About how sometimes feminism meant fighting men, when what we really needed was learning to stop fighting ourselves. Acceptance isn't the end of progress. It's where progress finally starts. Because love doesn't need rules or lists. It just needs space. And I finally learned that fixing someone doesn't heal you, but forgiving yourself might.